What's up, SmackNPie? It's your boy Waru back again with another Walking Dead video. Today, I'm going to be discussing about who could be the next returning character in the final season. Now, it has been teased that we could see multiple characters make a return. Before Telltale shut it down back in September, there was a Q&A and a fan asked about returning characters. James, who was part of the Telltale crew, teased that we could see a returning character or two. So there's a chance that we could see another character make a return instead of just Lily. Now, these returning characters don't have to be just physical appearances. They could also be past characters in flashback form, so be sure to keep that in mind. Also, it was confirmed that we were not going to get any Garcias. Sorry, Gabe and Clementine shippers. Oh wait, there aren't any.
Got him!
If you're excited, then be sure to give this video a like to show your support. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever we upload. Now, let's get on with the video. The first character that I want to talk about is Krystal. Now, when it comes to returning characters, Krystal is one of the most requested from the fanbase to see return, and I can see why, because her fate was an unanswered question from season 2. The last time we saw Krystal, it was when she and Clementine got ambushed by scavengers. You could either distract the group or just run while Krystal distracts them. After that, we hear a gunshot and Clementine gets separated from Krystal. Later on in the episode, you see one of these scavengers wounded. You then question him and he doesn't tell you anything, no matter what, even if you give him water. Thanks, Telltale. With the recap out of the way, I do think Krystal returning could be possible. That's because we didn't see her die at all. Yeah, we heard a gunshot, but that doesn't mean she died from that. This is kind of like Kenny from season 1, where we all thought he died from the walkers in those two different scenarios, which changes whether you save Ben or not. If Kenny can survive those scenarios, then Krystal can survive hers. If Krystal appears in the final season, there are two roles she could play. The first role is being a member of Delta when we get to their camp. It would be a pretty huge surprise, and it would be funny that two of the returning characters are part of the same group. The other role is pretty crazy, but what if Krystal becomes a part of the group Delta is fighting? Yeah, they still don't have a name at the time of this recording. It would be a pretty insane twist to the story. I know this is a weird what if scenario, but imagine the boarding school kids and Delta working together against the other group. They see the other group attacking, and they see the team leader, which would be Krystal. The shock value potential is there. Man, I miss Omid. The next character is Mike, and he is going to be the most interesting character to talk about, which I'll go into soon. Mike was introduced in episode 3 of season 2, and he did start off pretty grouchy. Later on, he was pretty cool, and he became one of my favorite characters, until episode 5 happened. Oh boy, where do I start with this? No matter what happens, Mike abandons the group with Bonnie, who's determinate. Yeah, fun fact. Mike also leaves with Arvo. Don't worry, I'm getting to him later, you can bet on that. What makes Mike interesting is that he had an optional death scene in the PS3 version of season 2, but that was later patched out, which led many to speculate that Telltale had big plans for the character. There is one theory I could talk about, but it's a big stretch. For those of you that remember the leaked concept art for episode 3 that featured new characters, there was a character called Michael. We at SmackNPie joked about Michael being an older version of Mike that we see. It sounds ridiculous, but if that was the case, I would kind of be down for that. Also, Michael looks older when you compare his face structure to Mike's. Great, this reminds me of that one crazy theory that Mike is that scavenger that attacked Clementine and Krystal. Now it's time to get into the wildcard section. These are characters that were alive the last time we saw them, but it's highly unlikely they could come back, but who knows. I'm going to start this out with everyone's least favorite character in season 2, our boy Arvo. I don't know where to start with this guy. Right after season 2 ended, if you asked me if Arvo was coming back in the future, I would 100% say yes, but after getting New Frontier and seeing where the story for the final season is going, I'm actually going to say no. That's because if Arvo was going to come back, he would have came back already. I would actually argue the same about Mike. Also, Bonnie is determined, so she's definitely not coming back. Also, another thing I want to bring up is that Arvo had a broken leg. If Arvo was part of a group, he would easily slow them down. I know he has more Russian friends out there, and that's the only thing going for Arvo in the apocalypse. So sorry guys, you won't have your revenge against a twerp. you could maybe write a fanfiction about it, but don't send any to me or the narrators. We don't have any time for fanfictions, except for Marcus. The next wildcard character I have is Molly. Molly is a fan favorite from season 1, and her coming back would be cool. The last time we saw her was in episode 4 of season 1, which was her only episode appearance. Even though I would like to see Molly, I don't think she could come back. That's because if you look at the character of Molly, she is a loner. She only joined up with Lee and the gang because they had supplies and they were going into Crawford, which was part of her backstory. There would be no reason for her to join a group like Delta or the group that Delta is fighting. Also, I doubt she would be fine with joining a group that turns children into soldiers. You could argue that the time span between seasons 1 through 4 made her a different person, but I think she would still be a loner. This is a weird thing to bring up, but you could accidentally shoot Molly. I'm serious. For this to happen, Lee has to not bring Clementine to Crawford, and when Molly asks you to shoot, you can accidentally shoot her. After that, you never see her again, leaving her fate unknown. It would be funny if Molly did come back, and in your file, you could have it where Lee accidentally shot her. Then when we see her again, she has a gunshot wound. It's super unlikely though because it's Telltale, and I doubt Skybound would do that. Alright guys, the last physical character that could come back is Jesus. Best character in New Frontier, changed my mind. Okay, I'm gonna be real, he's never coming back. I put him here for giggles, but him coming back would be cool. Now it's time to get into characters that could return in flashbacks. Even though I would love to see another returning character physically, it's probably going to be another flashback character. That's because it's easier to do in the story and previous seasons have done it. We're going to start this flashback discussion right with the man that started it all, Lee Everett. Now, I made a video about Lee flashback ideas a week ago. If you haven't seen that video, then be sure to watch it after this one, of course. One of my ideas was to have the flashback take place during a period of time that we haven't seen yet, in which I used a few months time skip during the Motor Inn as an example. I had this idea because Lily was still with the group at that time, and it could tie into final season pretty well. It would be kind of like the season 2 flashback with Lee, where Clementine can ask him questions about having hurt others. With the final season flashback example I made, it would be more Lily centric, and that would be pretty cool fan service. Another character that could come back in a flashback is Kenny. I know people down in the comments are gonna be like,
I don't want to see Kenny in a flashback! I want to see him alive!
If I offended anyone, I'm sorry. I thought about putting Kenny in the physical category, but he has 2 deaths. The first one is choosing Jane over Kenny by shooting him. The other one is to leave Wellington with Kenny, which results in Kenny getting crippled in a supercar crash and getting killed by walkers. Great writing, Telltale. The only ending from season 2 where Kenny's fate is unknown is by staying at Wellington. Now guys, understand that this is not like Detroit Become Human or Heavy Rain, where decisions change the story drastically. The Walking Dead games have always been linear, but they give the illusion of your choices mattering, but they don't. So for Kenny to realistically appear in the final season, it has to be a flashback. If you're mad, then don't at me about your frustration. Do that to Nicole or Chantel. So yeah, for a Kenny flashback, I would have it take place during season 1. With this flashback, I would have it be him arguing with Lily, since it would fit the story pretty well. Also, the arguing was 95% of their conversations. The last characters that I think could return via flashback are Clementine's parents. I'm not gonna lie, I forget about them a lot because the last time we saw them was in episode 5 of the first season as walkers. The reason why I bring up Clementine's parents as a possibility is because we've never seen them in a flashback. Also, they could be considered returning characters because we've seen them as walkers. This would be my idea of the flashback with her parents. Now, it would take place before the apocalypse, obviously, and before before they went on their vacation. I would have this flashback happen at the beginning of episode 4 of the final season, since that's the final episode of Clementine's story. That's been going on for almost 7 years. I don't know what it would be about though. Maybe Clementine is dying and her life is flashing before her eyes, then we see her parents again. Another possibility is that maybe we see her dad give Clem her infamous hat. That would be amazing. You know what, Skybound? I hope you're watching this. I'm giving you this one for free, just in case if you want to add anything in episodes 3 and 4. I know that with flashbacks, there could be even more returning characters, but to me, these characters make the most sense and they can realistically happen. Who do you think could make a return in the final season physically or in a flashback? Be sure to let us know down below. With that being said, that's it for today's video. Make sure to like the video and share it with your friends. And also make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and become an official member of the Smack Empire. I hope you guys have an awesome day. This is Waru signing out. Yeet.